ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about Wagerwire. Wagerwire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at Wagerwire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search Wagerwire and download the app.
Sports betting isn't a gut call. It's a market with prices that move. Wagerbird shows you what to bet, when to bet it, and how the line is changing live. Every pick is time-stamped. Every result is tracked. Start betting like an analyst with Wagerbird.
Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, The Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors. Welcome to the Tuesday edition of the Breakfast Bankroll, July 28th, 10:05 a.m., Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Our weekly sit-down with Andrew McInnis in Canada himself. We've been doing shows for years. Kind of like the son that I never had. That's how I always feel when me and Andrew talk. Tuesday, 10 o'clock, 10:30 on our channel. And, of course, generally on Friday, 10:30 on his channel. I'll be discussing some CFL, discussing anything going on in the NHL with Andrew. Talk about his Jays. We can talk about my Red Sox, of course. A lot to talk about as we get close to August here. The headliner today, ELKS Favorites versus defending Grey Cup champs, Saskatchewan Roughriders. I mean, CFL turned upside down. Get your Elks here. I adopted them years and years ago. And in what world would they have one loss this year and be favored against the defending Grey Cup champs? But first and foremost, a shout out to our proud sponsors and partnerships. It's Wagerwire. Head on over to Google Play, download the app. It is free. Trevor, Zach, Guy, Amber, Holly, Carol, Bucks, myself, Alan, Matthew, Drew, Jacob. The list is endless. Download the app. Head on over to X. Join the community at Wagerwire. And while you're there, of course, head on over to wagerwire.com/marketplace. And wagerbird.com. CEO Blaine Davis will be here at 10:05 tomorrow. Set the calendar. It is a platform second to none. It is literally Wall Street, New York Stock Exchange in the sports investing and wagering world. So super stoked to partner with him, and we got some big things planned for the football season. So without further ado, let's bring him in. Mr. Andrew. What's up, Andrew?
Mr. JD, what's happening?
Oh, another day. How about you?
Oh, well, the Blue Jays won last night, so I get to wear the hat on the show today. That's a good thing. Management's very confused. That's for sure. We'll put it that way. I texted you yesterday. This is why I don't like betting teams that I cheer for, i.e. the Canadians, Packers, Blue Jays, because everything added up to be an over City game yesterday, and we end with 5. And I had a first 5 under in the Phillies game, and there were 7 runs after 4 innings. So tough one for me yesterday. But, we get back in the mix with baseball, and I feel like with me, Jeff, I'm either batting 100 or I'm batting 0. There's nowhere in between. I can't remember the last time I split, really. A lot of these times I'm either going 2-0 or 0-2. So we'll try and move forward. Find some winners today. I got one free pick for the viewers today. I got a promo for the viewers today, and look forward to talking CFL with you.
Well, it's funny. Baseball Mondays. I like to try to tread lightly. In the morning, I thought it was a kid in the Christmas. It was Christmas Eve. I just was like, Max Scherzer has been the Patrick Corbin, Aaron Nola of the gift that keeps giving. The Phillies. Now again, going against what has happened the last couple of years, you always faded the team traveling after the Sunday night ESPN game, but it was Wheeler versus Jeff Dawson, basically. And for me, I got double whammy there. And the comedy is we had the Phillies, first 5 minus the hook, 5-0. Thanks for playing 5-2 after 5. Well, then the Phillies bats wake up 6-5. Now we got a full game minus a run and a half as well. 7-5. Insert Duran, one of the best closers in the game. First look, I got bases loaded, no outs. Next thing you know, 7-7, 8-7. Thanks for playing. I love the Red Sox. I love the first 5 there. I stayed away. Thank God I did. I liked their team total over 5. Stayed away there. Our only saving grace was the Cubs team total over with an hour and a half rain delay, and you know how those go. So thank God for CFL. Andrew, we always talk what happened last week. I got the odds up. I got the standings here. I just, before you go into what you saw last week, we're on my channel at 10:30 on Tuesdays. We're on yours on Fridays. Listen, I'm not the expert. I just read the market, but I think I got a pretty good feel of the CFL this year. And one thing that keeps coming up is Calgary scoring 1 million points. Calgary can't stop a nosebleed. The Elks keep winning. Hamilton doesn't have an offense. BC looking like they don't have an offense. And Sunday unders. I don't know how much more to explain it.
And I will say, I think the Hamilton offense issues and the Sunday unders definitely correlated together this past week. But you're right. I mean, all those things you just said, and the Calgary one, it's funny, Jeff, because for some reason in football, and I'm sure you get what I'm saying by this, I don't always like to have a side and total in the same game. Like in that Calgary game, you and I both know if I liked Calgary, I should have just taken the over too. Could have had a double whammy. Could have had 2 winners in one night. And that's what this team is doing right now. You gave me that quarterback matchup, and I gladly took the Calgary Stampeders in that one because of what their offense is able to do. For me, it was a slight down week this past week, and we did lose the parlay, first parlay of the season, Riders and Argos. That Riders game versus your Elks was the most wild, puzzling, confusing, exciting fourth quarter I've seen in quite some time. But that happens. I'm more disappointed in myself for not going back and jumping in some way, shape, or form on the Argos. Had a free play up on Wager Talk for the free first half. Argos -2.5. That game wasn't even close. The backups there kind of showing up, but you look at that BC game against Toronto. I just thought it was just such an example of what the backup quarterbacks, the drop off once again. But also, I think it showed us more than that, Jeff, because BC. The difference between BC and Hamilton is that Hamilton was actually having a pretty good start when Bo Levi was the quarterback. BC wasn't even playing that well, even with Rourke as the quarterback. So, and then of course that Elks game was just fantastic. But that last game of the week, Montreal and Hamilton, I gotta say, you want to talk about backdoor covers, Jeff. If that was NFL Sunday Night Football, we would have seen our timelines flooded with complaints or excitement. That's a backdoor cover for the ages. Like that is a quarterback throwing an interception on his own 20-yard line with 3 minutes to go in the ball game. Like they were covering the point spread all night long until they weren't. So, I I hate to say this, but part of me was thinking, okay, I'm not going to hit my over. And I was saying on the couch, and my girlfriend was probably pissed off hearing me say that. I was like, I really liked Hamilton too. And then she goes, well, there you go. Now they didn't even cover either.
I was watching it, and I was thinking of you, and I sent you the text, and then again, field goal. I think it was field goal, interception, touchdown, and they even someone I think on your timeline goes, why didn't they kneel on the ball? Guy dives into the end zone from the 3-yard line. One of those. You gotta, if you had that side. You got to remember that because there's a bad beat or two coming. So I don't want to hear the spilt milk for all you guys because that was not the right side, as you said there. Looking at the standings, Andrew, Montreal 6-1, 4-0 at home, 2-1 on the road. They've won 4 in a row, scored 230 points, 204 against. I'll take my Elks at 6-1. 3-0 at home, 3-1 away. They've won 3 in a row. They've scored 203 points, but they've only allowed 172. When I compare Montreal to Edmonton, I think Montreal is better on both sides of the ball. They're just methodical. They're I don't want to say they're vanilla. I think they're like the true professional this year. They just go out and win. They don't care how they win. They just go out and win. And the Elks are the talk for me, and I think most of the CFL, because they're electric. Rankin, their defense is the shocker this year.
Yes. Well, I mean, Cody Fajardo deserves most outstanding player conversation, 100%. And so does Justin Rankin. And then to your point, Jeff, the defense has showed up in big points. And let's not forget, their kicker, who screwed my parlay with a 57-yard kick to win the game for them. His career high, Jeff, in the CFL was 52 going into that game. So everything going right for them. But yeah, I mean, so from what it sounds like to me, you agree with me that I don't have Edmonton as number 1 in the league. I have them right up there with Montreal, but I'm a little bit confused what Montreal has done to people for people to have Edmonton in the number 1 slot. That's the only thing that confuses me. Media personalities, betting personalities, CFL writers. I'm a bit confused how Edmonton is landing dominantly in everybody's one hole when it's not like Montreal's playing bad football. And here's the thing, Jeff. Again, if you take away that fortunate touchdown at the end, maybe the game is a bit closer. But I must have said this multiple times on the timeline on Sunday. Montreal looked like they showed up half stoned and they still won the game. I mean, this team looked like they were barely interested in playing the game, and they put up 31 points. This team didn't play their A game. In fact, they played their C+ game and they still covered the point spread. So it's hard for people. I just don't understand the eager level of people to be putting Edmonton as number 1 on their power rankings.
Here's the only way I can see it. They're the talk of the league this year. But here's my take on it, outside from the States looking in. Montreal's division, the East Division, has Hamilton at 3-4, the Argos at 3-4, and the Red Blacks at 0-6. Now you look at the West this year, Edmonton at 6-1, your Grey Cup winner Saskatchewan at 4-2, Winnipeg at 4-3, Calgary, believe it or not, at 3-4, and they've scored 278 points. And then, of course, the BC Lions at 1-5. So from the actual depth and the talent, I mean, other than Montreal in the East, the West is the dominant division this year.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. And so when you look at it from that perspective, maybe you can give some more respect to Edmonton because of that, and the teams that they're facing and the teams they're going to have to deal with for the rest of the year. But what's funny is that it's been like that for a long time. But Montreal, like I would say we should probably all have Edmonton in our number 2. Like I'm not saying they should be lower than 2. I just don't think they should be 1. Now, the weird thing for me is, where do we put Winnipeg? Because I've seen some people have Winnipeg at 4, at 5, at a couple different spots there. Because I think it's clear a lot of people have Saskatchewan in the 3. If you took a survey of people, it would be a consensus that you either have Montreal 1 or Edmonton 1, and then you have the Rough Riders at 3. But the thing is, to me, Jeff, I also think that, and we'll get to the game, but last week it was 4.5, 5. I saw some people ended up getting a 5.5 on Edmonton. They win off a walk-off field goal. They're going home now where they haven't been known to play their best football, and they're laying at 1.5 points, or, it's close to a pick 'em. So you're telling me on a neutral site, we're seeing just a little bit of a favorite towards Saskatchewan or close to pick, and that's where I think, I think Saskatchewan moved the ball pretty well last week. I think their defense let them down near the end of the fourth quarter and such, but this to me feels like everybody's buying Tesla when it's at its highest point of the year, and they're not waiting for it to dip at all. If you wanted Edmonton in this battle of the 2 home and home, I think you should have taken them last week. That's kind of how I feel. And I'm not one to always say, sometimes a team can win 2 in a row. Remember that time me and you had Montreal twice against Calgary. We talked about BC twice ATS in their matchup. But this is what kind of intrigues me, is that because of what happened last week, and you should see the CFL media landscape right now, they're hyping it up. They're trying to convince everybody to come out. Let's sell out the building. Let's get everybody in town to go watch this game. And I feel like the home crowd's going to get let down, Jeff. I do. That's my hot take for the week.
Well, when we get into the games, I'll get something that I'm very disappointed in, because I'll let the cat out of the bag. I would have really liked to see Saskatchewan open up -1.5, not +1.5. Again, if Saskatchewan opened up -1.5, what are they doing? They're begging for the Edmonton money. They're begging. And instead, they open up 1.5. Everyone's saying there's no way the Grey Cup champs are losing 2 in a row to this team. It's the Elks. And by the way, who are 3-0 at home? And they got the solo game. The place is going to be rocking, but we'll get to that. I think the wild card in this whole dilemma here is, listen, I'll give Montreal the 1 spot. How about this? 1A to Montreal, 1B to Edmonton. Okay, Saskatchewan still the 2/3. You got to give Winnipeg the next nod. The wild card in the second half of the CFL is the Argos. Which direction are the Argos going to go? Calgary, again, they've scored 278 points, but they've allowed 244. And we know what happens to Calgary the second half of the year. They just going to fade off into the sunset. That's where I think the Argos kick it in. I mean, it's Elks, Rough Riders, Blue Bombers. People are going to expect the Elks also to drop down. Montreal's going to be Montreal. And I think when the dust settles, the Argos will be very comfortable in second in the East.
And Chad Kelly just potentially got hurt, but they said the x-rays came back fine. Neck injury off a dirty hit, which was pretty crappy to see that one, Jeff. But if he's fine, again, this is a show talking about betting. We're not talking about people's personalities here. People don't like Chad Kelly. Like, I don't know if you remember him from college because you're a college guy, but people don't like him. You know, he's had issues within the CFL. He had issues with a staff member on the Toronto Argonauts, Jeff. The PR on him is not high, but he can throw the ball. He can score points. He can find the end zone. And again, it's funny when you are so involved in reading articles and listening to other podcasts and watching stuff, you can tell which players get pushed and which players are just kind of in the league. And again, I don't want to say this because people think that I'm like saying anything bad about Nathan Rourke. But again, Nathan Rourke is who the league wants to be the poster boy. But if you look at Davis Alexander, he has been everything that they wanted Rourke to be. If you look at Chad Kelly, he's putting up consistent numbers every single week. He's averaging like over 300 yards a week, Jeff. He can't play defense for them. I agree with you. I think the Argos deserve a bit more respect. The problem is it's hard for us to give them respect because I think you and I would have beat BC last week. I would have been throwing you passes on that team.
It's going to be interesting. I mean, listen, I got DraftKings up in front of me. I'll just give you my quick overview of the initial what the eyes see. BC Winnipeg, again, for me, it's a simple play. It's simple. BC team total under. I'm not going to get involved in the 6. I've seen enough with their offense there. Montreal, Ottawa, again, it's a 60. They're going to have some fun there. I think Montreal's offense wakes up. I'll take their team total over in that one. Calgary, Hamilton. Listen, Hamilton's offense, they can't score. Yet it's a 60. I know this. They're favored by 5.5. I'll go on record. I wouldn't be shocked to see Calgary put up 40 this week. Calgary team total over. And then the game of the week, Edmonton, -1.5 against Saskatchewan, 60.5. First one to 31 wins this game. You know, the mentality is this is a Rough Riders all day here. There's no way they're going to lose 2 in a row to the Elks. That's what scares me. I mean, the whole world's going to be on Saskatchewan Saturday night, 7 o'clock. There is no one in our circles that will be playing the Elks on Saturday night.
I'm curious, Jeff, because I'm telling you, like I promise you, these people I've been hearing from, I talk with, like people are falling in love with your Elks. It's not like they don't believe it. I feel like I'm the only one that doesn't believe in them. Everybody else does already. So, but I get what you mean because it's the back-to-back spot, and that's the big thing, right? And as much as we can all feel good about them, and would you say, Jeff, it's one of those things where it's like people will take them a lot more serious if they get this win too? Like they should already take them serious, but if Edmonton wins this game, then it's like, hey, like this team means business, right?
1,000%. If they win the back, because listen, I've been doing shows with you for years. This is the holy grail of the Andrew McInnis CFL playbook. This is the revenge spot. And you add the Grey Cup winners. I mean, are you kidding me? This is the Elks here. The Edmonton Elks. I mean, come on. That's why I am shocked. If Saskatchewan was 2.5 point favorites, I'd just say, hey, go play the money line and then don't even watch the game and just check your tote board Sunday morning when you got before you go to church, because I'm shocked the Elks are 1.5 point favorites.
Well, I think for us, we look at how the game went and not necessarily what happened on the scoreboard. And so if they're plus 4.5 or plus 5-ish last week, and now all of a sudden they're laying 1.5, and you know, whoever you want to talk to, we could argue that Saskatchewan was the right side last week. You know, again, I think you've taught me about these opening numbers, and I agree with that. But we also look at it and we think to ourselves, okay, is this a reaction just to outright wins and not actually how they played? And the difference is now you're not asking for Saskatchewan to win by 4.5 points. You don't have to go through the game. I mean, there was a world we live in where Cody Fajardo fumbled the ball, threw it away to the right side. A Saskatchewan player picked it up, Jeff. They threw a touchdown, and the cover was there for Saskatchewan. What happens? Typical CFL, Canadian Flag League. They call it offensive pass interference with 2 minutes, 40 seconds on the clock. They miss the next play. So third down, send out the kicking. Kicker shanks it, 25-yard shank. So they go from a fumble recovery to a touchdown to an offensive pass interference to a missed kick. So when you look at all these things that happen in the like, what do you think is happening right now and what we're talking about together right now if that game was 30-27 Saskatchewan? I guess that's my big thing with this, is how much of this line and how it's being set is simply because the Edmonton Elks won that game off the near 60-yard kick. You know, because for me, it's almost like I don't always play Rapid Revenge, and you know that because I had Montreal twice against Calgary a few weeks ago. But yeah, I'll be honest with you. I almost love the fact that Edmonton ended up winning last week because it gives us more of an opportunity here. There's one game that I want to give you a stat for, because you know how I love telling you, even though it's a 9-team league, Jeff, I know it's a 9-team league. There's going to be some trends. There's going to be some some teams that obviously have good track records against others. But I'll tell you what, this Montreal team absolutely dominates the Ottawa Red Blacks. They absolutely dominate. Now, here's the problem. And I always tell you this, and I know you're always interested by this, because the originators, so I think it's FanDuel and Pinnacle both have their own. They didn't know what the hell they were doing on this one. And it's tough for me because I'm giving out picks to paid subscribers. I cannot give out the early lines, Jeff, because they move. And I'm telling you, they move in a half an hour. This number opened at -4.5. You snap your finger, it's at -5.5. You go make a sandwich, you crack a nice cold Coca-Cola, you have a nice little lunch, you go out for a walk, you come back, it's -7.5 for the Montreal Alouettes, Jeff. You want to talk about betting a middle? You could have got -4.5 plus 7.5 and just said, go have a good time and, you know, be a touchdown type of game here. Right now, Montreal on a 12-0 straight up and 10-2 ATS run the last 12 meetings against Ottawa.
Well, you have that stat. The books had that stat. Why didn't the line open up at 8.5?
That's the question. That's the question.
Because they wanted the Montreal side. If that opens up at 8.5, they're going to get the Ottawa side to come down to 6.5, 5.5. They open up at 4.5. I guarantee you there are going to be more tiers on. I got the opening number. Where's my CLV? I got it at 4.5 when it first came out. It closed at 7, and at worst, Ottawa loses by 3.
I think that some books have to rely on sharp money coming in to help them figure out what's going on with some of these teams. But you're right; they know the 12-0 streak. The weird thing is that Ottawa hasn't had a quarterback injury, but their quarterback, that's their QB1, is pretty much a backup. And I hate to sound like a jerk saying that, but their quarterback has gotten better. But he's a couple tiers above a lot of other teams' backups, but he's not close to a lot of other teams' starters. You put him up against, Bo Levi Mitchell and Davis Alexander and Nate Rourke and Trevor Harris and all these guys and Vern Adams Jr., he's nowhere close. You put him next to some of those backup quarterbacks, he's looking pretty good. So the question is, though, last week, Montreal, they weren't covering all week long. Or all night long against Hamilton. You know it, and I know it, until that fourth quarter blunder happened. And you said it yourself. They just find a way to get the job done lately. So are they going to win the game? Yeah, probably. But are they going to blow them out of town is the question.
I mean, like I said, I'd respect it at 8.5 down to 6.5. Not opening at 4.5. The same thing with this Edmonton game. The whole world... I'll go on record. This closes at a pick. Edmonton and Winnipeg and the Rough Riders. We'll get there. I got right now the rolling scroller there. BC at the Bombers on DraftKings right now, -6, under over 54.5, juice to the under -125. Winnipeg money line -278. You can grab the Lions +225. Again, the BC Lions, we would think offensively going to be challenged here. Winnipeg at home, a solo game on Thursday night. Again, my initial thought, if it's FanDuel, wherever you're getting your action, BC team total under. I expect Winnipeg to win. Thoughts on this game?
Yeah, again, they're starting a new quarterback now, Jeff. They have given up on the backup. They're going to the third string quarterback BC has announced. So now me and you have to handicap another quarterback coming in. I believe this was a quarterback from the UFL coming in now. So we have to try and figure that out, handicap that. Chase Bryce couldn't move the chains. He couldn't move the football. I mean, that 54.5 to the under is just staring me right in the face. At the end of the day, I tried to be bold. I gave out an over for a big play involving a backup quarterback last Sunday, and you know how those Sundays go. That didn't go well for me. But you look at Winnipeg, and I know their defense hasn't been the best this season. I'm not going to hide that because we look at some games they've played, but we know how they want to play. And right now, they are not the Winnipeg of 3 years ago. They're not the stretch the field team. They're not the deep ball team. And if I want to keep you up to date with some trouble in paradise with some of these Winnipeg players, Brady Oliveira called out his offensive coordinator to the media last weekend, and everybody said that this OC for Winnipeg for some reason doesn't like to run the ball, and a media member literally said, "Were you shocked that your last touch was at 5 minutes to go?" Something like that. And he just pretty much said, "Nothing surprises me these days," or something like that. He said, we have no identity these days. And so that was the headline. Bombers still feel they have no identity. Which if you're an offensive coordinator, you don't really want to hear your team saying that. So I think the under is probably the way to go. But I do feel like the books have no clue what to do here. I mean, last week, BC being plus 3.5. Are you kidding me? Not even close. Not even close with that number. Now the question is this the real question we ask ourselves, Jeff? I know you like the BC team total under. I feel like that's the wise way to go here. Is BC capable of running up, or excuse me, is Winnipeg capable of running the score up on somebody?
I don't know. I mean, BC was a darling last year. They've been tamed so far this year. No puns intended there. I don't know which Winnipeg team's going to show up. I do know past history, a solo game, whether it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that place is rocking. They expect excellence. It's time to wake up. Do they play both sides of the ball, or do they know if they roll the ball out, BC can't score 30 on them? I don't think they can score 24 on them. That's my take. But again, I'm not just talking about last week. I've seen it now a couple weeks in a row. Yeah, BC showed flashes against the Elks twice, but those weren't shootouts at the OK Corral. So again, how does BC win? Ground control, move the chains, win the turnover battle, stop the run, turn touchdowns into field goals on the defensive side and try to punch it on the other side. But you're right. Can you wake up the next morning on Friday morning and we're on your show and holy crap, Winnipeg came back to life? That's the Winnipeg remember as they win 37-21.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm wondering if we'll see. And I'm happy you phrased it the way you did about stopping the run, because as I mentioned, Brady Oliveira not happy with how many carries he's getting this season so far. And then they're going and playing the number one run defense. We know what BC did to Rankin. So this could be a tough couple weeks and keep in mind, Oliveira was the most outstanding player of the year a couple years ago as a running back. And this year, he's not really stacking up the yards whatsoever. So we'll see if BC can shut him down. But I feel like I would be more comfortable taking the under and challenging Winnipeg to put up points and carry the load than taking BC and just asking them to blow out, taking Winnipeg and asking them to blow out BC. But I think that when you look at this week, because I've talked to a few people, and I missed on my money line parlay last week. I've talked to a few people that are inclined to take Montreal, Winnipeg, Calgary, or Calgary, Winnipeg, or Winnipeg, Montreal. I've heard people inclined to do that with this schedule we have this week. And I'll ask you this because you're talking about the opening number and where things came out here. Which way do you think that Winnipeg game goes? Because, again, I think that the books didn't know what to do with BC last week. Now they got a new quarterback coming in. Could this game reach 6.5? Could it reach 7? You know, could the Montreal game reach 7.5? And if we want the Red Blacks, should we wait for that number? Because I think that if you're going to play Winnipeg, you're going to play it now. If you're going to play Ottawa, I think you could get a 7.5 on that.
I think BC has shown enough past history that doesn't touch 7. I'll go on record. I'll say 5.5. This one closes. I think there'll be some BC money trickling in. Why? Because Winnipeg's going to want to establish the run. What does BC do best? Stop the run.
Yeah.
Okay, and this could be one, and it is clearly the lowest total. All the others are 60.5. This is the 54.5. Again, so I would say this is your Sunday under special on Thursday. How's that sound?
And there is something to it. There has to be something to it because, of course, short week, less preparation. But you know what is funny? I feel like, Jeff, and correct me if I'm wrong here, it feels like in the NFL, we have sometimes the duds on Thursdays because they have the least practice time. But in the CFL, that's when we're getting some excitement because, I don't know, less practice time, less defense, less film, whatever it might be. Right now, I'm on the under. I have to look at it because I can make a case for both BC and Winnipeg. Let me ask you this one. Which play is the ugliest, but the only one the professionals can bet? BC, Ottawa, or Hamilton? Which one is the ugliest to you? Because I'll say this. With how many points Calgary puts up, I feel like it'd be tough to take Hamilton. But from a power rankings perspective, we're not just asking Calgary to win a game anymore. We're not getting them in pick. We're not getting them in plus. We're getting them laying. Like, to me, that's almost the one that's, like, intriguing. But at the same time, we talked about it with that Ottawa-Montreal one. People that are going to be pumping their chests for the -5.5. If this gets to 7.5 and you got a touchdown and a hook with Ottawa, they're not that bad. Like, they're bad enough that they're not winning games, but we're not asking them to win. That's my favorite thing in the CFL. When you get a 7.5, we're not asking you to win the game. Just hang around. Just hang around for us.
But you know how that's been ending this year, especially with all the high scoring. You saw it again on Sunday. Hey, they hung around. They played a great first half. They played a great third quarter, and they just ran out of gas because they were on the field too much, or they turned the ball over. Watching Trey Ford trying to throw an 8-yard out was just like, OMG, please. I mean, are you kidding me? The Hamilton is intriguing because Calgary can't stop a nosebleed. So Calgary's going to score. We know that. Are they going to stop Hamilton? And maybe they hold them to field goals, but Hamilton's going to be able to move the ball without a doubt there. So, again, that's the intriguing on that side. Ottawa's just the redheaded stepchild at this point. They're just an ugly team. If anything, that might leak to the 7.5 side. And then again, Winnipeg, BC, again, I think you're going to see money come in on the BC side.
I think BC correlates with the under. So if they cover the point spread, it means they were able to keep it low, keep it tight. 20, what do you think? 21-17 or, 7. I'm curious where we'll get here. 24-16. Like, I'm curious what type of number we'll end up getting with that. It's all about what BC does scoring wise here, but I'm curious because Winnipeg is going to be so frustrated as hell going into this game. We don't know who they are. They don't know who they are. But the funny thing is in the midst of all of this stuff going on, the best thing that they have going for them is their backup quarterback isn't that bad. Now, here's the one caveat. Drew Brown is coming off his worst start of the season. And that's one thing we have to consider. And I know that the whole bounce back doesn't mean something as far as the handicap's concerned. Winnipeg's played a lot of home games that start this season. Their road trips are going to come up. They're going to come up soon. The matchup that you and I both liked, it was a 5% winner for me last week, being Calgary Pick'em to win the ball game. And I was telling people all week long, the more I started to like it, the more I looked at it and said, you're giving me big play VA against Drew Brown. And a lot of people say in the CFL sometimes, if it's pick 'em, pick the better quarterback, you're going to pick the winner here. And you look at this, I mean, VA has not thrown an interception all season long. I believe it's 20-0 INT and TD ratio, or TD INT ratio. Drew Brown, 40 pass attempts, 24 completions, 1 touchdown, and 4 interceptions. His average length of a pass was 6.2. So, you know, we love the zigzag, right, Jeff? We love the zigzag. And I think the thing is, too, is the mainstream CFL crowd going to just be bashing on Drew Brown now? And now this is the time to believe in him? Or has reality finally set in? Because last Friday when you and I talked, a key emphasis for me when fading Winnipeg was that it was the 3rd game in a row that Drew Brown was starting. It's one thing if you're filling in as the quarterback. Hey, we're getting 3.5 points. I'm my first week starting as the backup. He's pretty much been the quarterback. He's the starter now until Zach Collaros is back. And you should have seen on the TSN broadcast here in Canada, if I took a shot for every time they showed Zach Collaros on the screen, I would have been on the floor by the first half was over, because they were, oh man, they need him back. They need him back. You know, you see it all the time in the NFL, right? You got the quarterback that's injured. They got the hoodie on. They've got the headset on, and oh boy, they could really use him tonight. Like they were really talking about it. So do you know what I mean? Like sometimes I feel like that could be a factor as well. He's coming off his worst start of the year. Maybe he comes back. So that's kind of a little bit of worry for me.
Before we transition to football, any leans, anything in the pocket on Tuesday, 10:45 a.m., anything intriguing to standing room only right now on X?
CFL and baseball, or CFL?
CFL.
Look, as far as this week is concerned right now, I'm looking at that under as far as BC and Winnipeg. I do really like that one. And you said it yourself, Jeff, lowest total on the board, 360.5s and 154.5. 53.5s might pop up there. It's as simple as unders in a quarterback's first start of their career. That's what we have here. First start, once again, of a career for BC. New quarterback rotates in. Winnipeg, look, running back not happy. He wants more touches. He wants more carries. BC can stop the run. Drew Brown, he is not Zach Collaros. He's not Vernon Adams Jr. He's not Bo Levi Mitchell. He can't throw the ball 60, 70 yards. This is going to be a long, methodical, drawn-out game. And I hate to say this, but I think the goal for BC is to not get embarrassed. Like, the goal for them is to gain momentum. You know, they don't want Rourke back now. Get him back next week. They're going into a bye. Get him back. Get him rested. Usually we have Sunday as a boring game. Let's get the boring game on Thursday. We'll take the under in that one. And to your point, Jeff, I'm not sure if I'll get there with the full game or not, but you made a great point. A few people I respect have been playing these dogs actually in the first half, because even though you're getting a shorter number, you're getting them when they're not fatigued. Maybe, just maybe, when you look at the spot here with Montreal and Ottawa, maybe you're inclined to take Ottawa in the first half.
And I'll take it a step further. If there was ever a time that Hamilton played 30 great minutes and actually moved the ball, maybe you get a Calgary turnover or something. I'm not saying Calgary's going to lose the game, but you and I both know, you know, it's great when Calgary are dogs. Don't get me wrong. But when they're favorites, they're a dog with fleas.
100%. And if we're going to zig and zag, like if we're betting on a team and betting against them, you remember when Montreal played Calgary? You and I were running to the window to bet against Calgary because it was big bro against little bro. And then Calgary last week, they get the job done. Their offense was just, hey, 50, 40 points. I mean, they're going to score. But to your point, you have to remember what their defense can do. And you reminded me on Twitter last week during my play going on, hey, you better score 40 or 50 because their defense is going to give up 30. And if Hamilton can find it, I think they should be able to hang around a little bit. One thing about Hamilton, too, they draw out their drives. Like, Trey Fort's not going to score fast for you. So if the clock is ticking, it's good for an underdog. So we'll look towards that as well. Don't fall in love with teams in the CFL. That's the moral of betting the CFL. Don't fall in love with teams. If you like a team last week, doesn't mean you're going to make money on them again this week.
Your Jays. Listen, Red Sox make a trade under the radar. They shipped Conley early, who's a little banged up right now, some elbow issues. They get Curtis Mead, mixed reviews. We overpay, blah blah blah. What happens? Curtis Mead gets plunked in the wrist, second at bat. Now we got to pray day to day, and we know what happens with wrists there. Insert Max Scherzer yesterday. Congrats. Now Shane Bieber against Washington, currently at the Circa. Good morning to Mr. Benson and Mr. Stevens. Washington minus 136. Your Jays plus 122. Thoughts on the Jays? We got a week to go before the trade deadline. Give us the temperature and which Bieber shows up tonight.
Jeff, it absolutely cracks me up, and I'm gonna need your help on this as well, because so many people that I follow, podcasts that I love to listen to when I'm driving with the Blue Jays, radio guys, they're trying to understand what they should. And I feel like this is what sucks. You know, I love to bash the Leafs all winter long when you and I are doing shows and we're having our coffee and we're staying warm. We get to all, yeah, the Leafs are going to do this. Now I'm a part of the media in Toronto. I cheer for the Blue Jays. It's the only Canadian team. And so you've got the guys that are debating. Do you not do a single thing? Do you sell or do you buy? And that's the crazy thing. And so after last night's win, Scherzer on the hill, Fluharty does what he does. And how about Louis Varland? Louis Varland, what he's turned into. Oh, yeah, and Jeff Hoffman, as much as he cost us a World Series, 3 runs allowed since June 1st. Not bad. So people are saying, hey, get a few more wins this week, and we want us to be buyers at the deadline, right? Like, nobody knows what we want from them. That's the issue, I think, when it comes to this Blue Jays team right now. But I got to say this, and out of all the teams that I cheer for, I'd say the least biased I probably am with the Blue Jays, even though I thought they'd be a hell of a lot better this year. Every time I check the standings, Jeff, I'm shocked how it's still not out of reach. Like, I checked the standings after last night, and I'm like, I thought they were like 15 wins back. Like, they're not as far back as I thought. So that's what kind of intrigues me. But I mean, when you look at some of these numbers here, I'm looking at the slate right now. I'm looking at the numbers. I mean, Shane Bieber last 5 games, walk prone, 1.296 whip, 27 innings, hittable arm, they're saying. And Washington, 169 WRC plus last 5 games. Their offense was slowed down yesterday. How do we not take a play on Washington today? Last night, everybody in the world lined up. I had people asking why they weren't 225 favorites. And then they're going to lose yesterday, and now the Nats will come back and win today. So that kind of intrigues me a little bit here. But just trying to look here. 4.86 FIP, 44.4% hard hit. I mean, the thing is that how long do you want Bieber to go into games anymore? That's my question. What are the Jays in the mode, Jeff, that if a guy starts to struggle, they're going to yank him early? They're just going to go to the pen, like last night with Scherzer. He only gave up a few, but they limited damage, got him out of there in 4 innings.
This week I talked to Scotty Webb yesterday with the Tigers losing 2 out of 3 to the Royals. Now the 6 games under 500, and they lost again yesterday. The Skubal trade is now getting a little more imminent. The next 7 days will tell a lot for a lot of teams. As you said, there's only a couple teams that are out in the American League. Top of my head, Oakland A's for sure. And then after that, I think Kansas City Royals for sure. But other than that, everyone's hanging around. And you can look at the Red Sox. Hey, we were dead and buried, 14 games under 500. Now, most teams don't go 21-3 their last 24. Don't get me wrong there. But again, we were gone from Sellers. We're talking Chapman. We're talking Sonny Gray. Maybe some others to buyers. We got Curtis Mead. We might not be done there. So with 2027 being, I read yesterday that they're not playing next year. I mean, it's going to be a hard stance. No salary cap versus salary cap. December 5th, doors locked, lights out. And I said, yesterday, if you could guarantee me 101 games, sign me up right now. I'll go on record today, July 28th. If you give me 81 games, I'll take it next year. How's that?
Yeah. I'm happy with that. I mean, just don't shut the door on us. Don't give us nothing. Give us something. Give us something. That's all I care about. I want to mention for my MLB handicap and a lot of my my strategies over the last few weeks. You and I spoke about this together on some of the sources that I use about the time frames for team stats, for bullpen stats, for pitcher stats. I've decided to go back to last 5 games for pitchers. I was doing last 3 for a couple weeks now with baseball. I'm going to mix in the last 5 weeks because I think what's happened for a couple plays I've made over the last 6-7 days has been if a I almost said quarterback, if a pitcher has a very, very, very good day in one of those last 3 starts, it's very much so dominating the chart and making them appear either really good or much worse than they actually are. So I'm going to experiment here with the last 5 because, as you know, you can't use full season samples with a sport like baseball. You can't. So I'm going to see what goes on today as far as that's concerned. And team stats, you can mix it up. You want to look at who's doing well right now. But any thoughts from you on that, Jeff, going from 3 to 5?
No, I can see it. Offenses, you really want to know what you've done the last 7. Sometimes people put 10 days. Pitching, for me, I kind of sort of want to know what they've done the last 3, 4. The five starts gets a little sketchy because of, every 5th day, maybe 6th day. So you're pulling like almost like 25-day sample,
Right.
month sample in some cases, where I want to kind of know where Andrew McInnis has been the last 3 weeks. So is that 3 starts? Is that 4 starts? You'll find the happy medium. I trust you.
Yeah, just figuring out what works best and just not getting and the thing is, too, you're going to run into variance, right? Like yesterday, I mean, geez, I know you like the first 5 innings for Phillies. I like the first 5 innings under. Who the hell in the world saw that coming in the first 5 innings? That's just variance for you. The number was there. And sometimes you want to back a really good pitcher and it just doesn't work out your way. Yesterday, it was one of those things where it was a weak Toronto offense for me against a pitcher that didn't have a good track record for the Nationals. And then it was a hot Nationals offense against Scherzer, who overachieved, but they also brought the pen in too early. So just 2 ugly, ugly losses for me. You have those losses that you feel a bit better about. 2 losses yesterday. I had to go back to the, as you say, it was a late night in Halifax. As you say, it's a late night on Cape Cod. It was a late night for me last night, going back to the well here.
Scroll has been going the whole time. At McInnis picks at wagertalkwt.buzz/A&M. I want to give a big shout out to your following. Thank you guys so much. If you haven't already, jump on over to YouTube at East Coast Sports Investors and subscribe. It's free. We just passed the 12,000 mark on that. Come on down. If you haven't, go to ECSIjournal.com. You'll be surprised. And we got some big things brewing there. Keep your fingers crossed there, of course. And for you there, sir, I know it's $5 Tuesday, but we also got Dominate Football Season. Take it away.
Yeah, $5 Tuesday. And what's great, of course, is that it used to be just one play and one play only, Jeff. Now every play I get up and available is $5. So we're going to have a CFL play up later. We're going to have MLB action up later. But this is the deal of the day. If anybody wants to jump on board with me, we all have our niche. We all have our specialties. For me, you'll see an ATS play in the NFL. You'll see a total bet for me. NFL player props, that's where it is for me. NFL regular season last year, we were up over 20-some units. and it's ended up a little bit down in the postseason. So plus 17 units, NFL player props. Keep in mind, a lot of those being 1% and 2% plays. CFL picks through the Grey Cup, 24 units this season so far, even though coming off a down week in week 8. It's about as simple as it gets here, guys. CFL season through the Grey Cup, NFL player props through the Super Bowl, through the big game. So the second the CFL ends, you're going to get every single NFL player prop I release all the way up until the big game, and that's in February, as we all know. So $3.99, regular price $4.89. Hope you guys will join me. Hop on board, DM me if any questions, and you know how it is. You see my messages come in, Jeff. Primetime football, Sundays, Monday, Thursday. We'll have some player props, and it's a loaded Sunday slate every week. We'll try and find you guys some winners. So hop on board with me, and we'll very much so hope that CFL alone will pay for this for you, and you're free rolling with a bankroll during the NFL season.
If you guys haven't already, I know you guys, all these guys have already, but go follow Andrew McInnis at McInnis Picks, of course, at Wager Talk, wt.buzz/AM. Again, take advantage, $3.99. Guys, look long-term, okay? August, September, October, November, December, January, February, Super Bowl on Valentine's Day. So treat yourself to a Valentine's Day gift, a Christmas gift, a Thanksgiving gift. Think long-term. I mean, it's pennies on the dollar per day. Take advantage of that, please. Tomorrow, 10:05 a.m., Blaine Davis, CEO Wagerbird, will be here to get under the hood as we get closer to August. Hall of Fame game preseason, and of course, week 0 in the NCAAF. From myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Investor, one and only, Mr. Andrew McInnis at McInnis Picks at Wager Talk. We wish everyone to have a blessed day. Enjoy yourselves and stay tuned.